Hi there, my name is Mary Kilolea. Welcome to the To Be Bolder podcast, providing career insights for the next generation of women in business and tech. To Be Bolder was created out of my love for technology and marketing, my desire to bring together like-minded women, and my hope to be a great role model and source of inspiration for my two girls and other young women like you, encouraging you guys to show up and to be bolder and to know that anything you guys dream of, it's totally possible. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the conversation. Hi there. Today's guest is a 31-year PwC veteran whose biggest passion is serving clients. She is a trusted advisor to many and brings extensive experience in business transformation, complex accounting, regulatory and strategic business matters, and tech-led innovation. My name is Mary Kilolea, and I'm honored to have Kathryn Kaminsky, PwC U.S. Chief Commercial Officer, here to share her career journey and advice with women looking to follow in her footsteps. Kathryn has a deep experience leading engagement teams to deliver quality and helps clients meet their financial reporting, regulatory, and transformation needs. Most recently, Kathryn served as the vice chair and co-leader of Trust Solutions, where she brought together the firm's combined audit, ESG, digital assurance, and tax reporting capabilities to help clients as they seek to build trust with their stakeholders. Prior to that, Kathryn served as the firm's tax leader, where she worked with clients to shape business strategy through an understanding of the impact tax events can have on organizational goals, as well as the opportunities policy changes can present for cross-functional efficiencies. Kathryn is a certified public accountant in New York and New Hampshire and holds a bachelor's degree from the University of Western Ontario. She is a member of the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants and serves on the board of Ronald McDonald House, New York. She is a wife and a mother of three and proud of her Canadian roots. And outside of work, she enjoys spending time with her boys. And she is an avid snowboarder, which I want so many more details on, and loves to hike as well as Pilates enthusiast. So definitely someone I want to hang out with. Kathryn, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Mary. What a mouthful.
Well, you've had an incredible 31-year long career. And I so appreciate you coming on. I mean, a woman of your stature, it's hard to get here. So I appreciate your willingness to come on and help other women who aspire to do something along your same career path.
I appreciate that. I have no girls. So this is my way to get to the female community, other than teaching my boys about how to respect women.
Oh, I love
this
that
is it as well. Yeah.
Fabulous. Well, okay, so let's go back to the beginning. Can you share what inspired you to pursue a career in accounting and business transformation?
It's a really great question. My background is different than most. I actually have a history degree. But I grew up in a household where my parents were big believers in women. Like I have two brothers, and my mom works, my dad, that professional designation was quite important so that you could take care of yourself. Mm-hmm. So when during my summer months, I used to work, I grew up in Ottawa. Some people know this, they call it actually Silicon Valley of the North. There's a bunch of technology companies. So I would spend 2 months a year working in a technology company doing sort of back office work. And then I'd spend 2 months at summer camp, which sort of tells you about my life. And so as I was getting close to graduating, my parents were like, what are you going to do with a history degree? And I went to this, to the career office, and there was a posting for, at the time, Coopers and Lybrand for arts and science students. So I applied and I got it. And while I was sort of working full time, they put me back to school to get all my accounting credits. So that's sort of where it started. So I say, like, I'm a CPA, I'm accounting, but I'm very much PwC trained as well. And I liked it, right? So you went through, like I always say this, like my resume in itself shows a lot of different things, but it's one job, many careers, the same place the whole time.
That's a remarkable thing that, because I've worked at Intel, and you can do that. You can transition to different roles without leaving the walls and have this beautiful exploration, if you will.
Totally. And it adds, like, I think a lot of times there's a fear of leaving a place, but you can do it a lot at the same place. You know the culture, you know the people. I mean, I moved cities, I did different things, but I always found like if I was constantly learning, it was good, right? Like it's good. You don't have to go somewhere else to learn. You just have to challenge yourself where you are.
Absolutely. So was there a defining moment or decision early on in your career that shaped the path?
I think like there was a few things. I think one was sort of always even doing what I did with the history degree and you worked through the same with the people who had accounting with you. So I think it was the one moment for me for sure was like it's okay being I get comfortable being uncomfortable
Mhm.
because you're always going to be uncomfortable and that many people think about sort of consulting or accounting or tax about the technology that not technology it is but the technical expertise,
Mhm.
but a big part of it is actually the EQ part, right? And how you work with
Mhm.
clients, the empathy, like how do you get people to tell you their problems to get to a solution? And you don't have to be a technical expert for that. Like, and then I think the last one was, look, it's not easy having kids, being a mother. So I found a place that I thought
Mhm.
respected that for me and still did like allowed me to be me, challenge where I wanted to go while being in sort of this environment of, I have three kids and I'm married. So it was all that together.
Uh, um, Before we go into your role and responsibilities as the Chief Commercial Officer, can you just give those who are listening kind of a definition, if you will, or a little what is PwC?
Sure. So PwC is a professional services firm that really offers our clients solutions in three different buckets. One is our audit practice, where you might find, we do traditional audit, public companies, private companies, asset wealth management, but then also provide trust over non-financial information where you need that expertise. Then we have a tax line of service where that expertise sits in tax, delivering whether it be tax compliance, tax planning. It's very strategic. Like people think about technology, they wouldn't think tax, but it's driven by tax technology.
Mm.
And by the way, tax can engage incredibly to help you figure out how do you fund your technology transformation because there's lots of tax enablement to that. And then the third line we have is consulting. And consulting is, it's consulting advisory. You think about it, whether it's technology, whether it's strategy, whether it's deals, sits in our consulting practice, cyber risk and reg. And so
Mm.
I say, like, we are a firm that can solve anyone's problem, can help them build trust, and like we bring the right experts to solve whatever the client needs.
Mm. So now let's dive into your role and responsibilities and what's like, would you say, if you what's the most rewarding aspect of your job?
So I'm responsible for the growth side of the business. So all of the lines in our clients and markets, we work together to figure out where we're going to go and how we're going to grow, but also how do we stay true to the clients we have by listening to them to think about what they're looking for next and, short term versus long term and what we do and how we do it. I think for me, the most rewarding part is I do love client
Mm.
service. It's been sort of at the sort of for me, it's been very true to who I am. And so if you take this role and you put it into the mode of people talk about culture, about listening and empathy and listening to learn, and you turn that on its head to say our culture is about our clients. How do we listen to learn from our clients? Some of it may also be challenging them to say what you're doing isn't thinking about it. And then how do you do that at scale? So to me, that is like the future, right? We have to stay true to our past, but where we're going in the future, that's pretty cool.
Absolutely. And I think, for any business that's going to succeed, you got to listen to your clients. I
Yeah.
mean,
It
so
sounds easy, but like I always say, like it's not as easy as you think because you go in so excited to give them a solution, but
mhm,
actually you need to start listening to what the problem is.
100%. And I think that's what trips up a lot of people who may even think they are doing a good job, but they don't even know they're not.
That's right. I'm going to say this, and I'm hoping it'll be okay. But I say it to my husband all the time. I sometimes I just want you to listen to my problems. I don't need you to give me a solution right away, right? And that's how our clients feel. Like sometimes take it away, think about it, and come back to them versus thinking that their problems are that easy to solve.
Absolutely. I remember that from Men Are From Mars and Women Are From
Yes,
Venus.
totally, it's totally
um,
true.
Okay, so for women who are hungry to gain leadership positions, what advice do you give them? You've obviously been able to
Yeah.
tap into those skills.
So I think what in the intro, we talked about my leadership roles, but remember, I also worked at the firm 15 years before not doing a leadership role.
Mhm.
Right. So I
Yeah.
think I always say, like, you need to do the blocking and tackling and do your job well every day. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it
Yeah.
sounds so simple, but it's really important, right? Like,
Yeah.
there's always this balance of, like, you want to ask for the next thing, but you want to be sure. And I think sometimes we can also over pivot, but you got to do your job well
Mhm.
every day, right? To get it done and not always thinking about the next and the next. And I think that the one other thing that I think some people do extraordinarily well is they life plan a little bit. Like, what's
Mm.
your 10-year goal? But what steps do you need to take to get there with a 5-year goal, a 2-year goal,
Mm.
and start thinking that way? Like I always say, my history major will come into this, like, be a little Machiavellian in how you plan your career. And it feels uncomfortable, but it'll actually help you get there much easier. And it's okay if the road winds. Do you know what I mean? Like, I never
Yeah.
thought I'd be a tax leader. I'm not a tax person. What did you like? Think about what you can get out of that role that maybe you weren't able to get if you didn't do the role.
Did you take that planning approach with your own?
It's interesting. I did on the client service side because I had great male advocates, actually. I wasn't doing it. And I, did have a really big North Star, which was to serve one of our large financial services clients as an audit partner. And I kept, I was like, I'm not sure I can do it. And they're like, but wait, like, we know the time, we know when, because accounts roll every 5 years. And so we worked backwards. And I always say I probably took a little bit of a step backwards in terms of the types of client assignments I did to be able to go forward. So I
Mm.
did use that then. The leadership stuff kind of was a little bit less planned, but was sort of, it came at different times based on what I was doing. But to build that first bit of my career to do what I really loved, it was a little more planned than I would have ever expected.
And I think it's so important that you tapped into the statement of you had people in the office who were advocates for you.
Yes.
Did you seek them out, or did they see your work ethic and see what you had done and then say, okay, we need to invest in her?
Yeah. Like, Mary, one of the best things about PwC, or to be fair, any of the firms like ours, is we do have like a way, like, we work for people along the way. And so for me, it definitely was someone who I had worked with and he had seen,
Mm.
he had pushed, right? So it
Mhm.
did come from the work. Um,
Mhm.
but you can get it in different ways. I think
Yeah.
that's always the best way, actually. At
Yeah.
PwC, it's just a bit easier sometimes because you do have that, but it definitely came from that. And I've had different mentors. Like, there's a difference between a mentor and an advocate. I had great mentors. I had some real advocacy along the
Mm.
way who pushed me and then had my back, right? When I stepped into something that was probably a little bit scary, too big in my mind, but I
Mhm.
knew I had that person who was there if there was some anxiety around it.
Amazing. Let's talk about changes in the industry. How
Yeah.
have you seen the industry evolve since you began? And how do you think the path of leadership differs for women and compared to when you started? Like, what is it today?
Yeah. So I think from an industry perspective, there's more female partners, right?
Mm.
So there's more
Mm.
people that people can look up to that look like you, and therefore, like, all the way along there is. We're not where we need to be. I say this all the time. Like, we will be successful when our start class looks like our partner class,
Mm.
right?
Mhm.
But so I think that's a big change. I think that the authenticity of who you can be at work has changed since I started. I think
Mhm.
there's definitely more openness. I think some of that comes from our clients, in all fairness. Like,
Mm.
our clients want diversity, but a diversity of thought, diversity, like, not just pure diversity and
Yeah.
inclusion, but really, like, different thoughts coming with different mindsets. So I think that's been very different, the openness to it, and,
Mm.
like, respecting that you might, be different. You don't, and then I think the last thing that has changed a little bit, but it's not where it needs to be, in my opinion, is the support for working spouses, like working
Mm-hmm.
parents, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I say, like, our firm has done some amazing things in terms of parental leave, in terms of for both the, both spouses, both partners. I think, like, as we look through the journey of a child and how that goes through, there's work we need to do. I think that everyone, corporate America, not just PwC, it doesn't end with just the time you get off when you have the child. It's like all the way through. I think that support would be very helpful, because you have to make hard choices when your kids make hard choices.
Absolutely. Well, from your perspective, which areas of the business show the most potential for growth right now?
I would say, like, when I look at the three businesses that we
Mm-hmm.
have, like, I think Audit, the business of you think technology implementation, pre-implementation reviews, doing things differently, where we're going with the different regulatory rules around sort of like, people think about the US with the SEC and ESG, there's CSRD, there's rules everywhere. And I can't not hit AI. And that
Right.
crosses all three of our businesses.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's both the commercial aspect and the delivery aspect, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
we are incredible trusted, like, we own trust in a way with the audit, the financials. Where are we going to go to with all algorithms? How can we start thinking about that more broadly? And then how do we deliver our services with technology using AI? And, at the end of the day, AI is only as good as the data to start with, but also we also then have to think about, how do we train our people differently, moving away, like, you still need the
Mm-hmm.
brain, right? Tax, very similar, like, the technology and data for tax is massive. Where's that going? Where do you think about it? And how does AI get engaged from, both aspects? And where's, honestly, tax rules going with AI, with technology, and how do you do that? And then when you look at our cyber practice, I think our consulting practice, you can look across the board. Like, people want to talk about AI, but I think trust and cyber and
Mm-hmm.
security, I don't think there's been a better time
Yeah.
for us to think about, what does that mean and what do we do? And then there's just broad technology transformation. And I think, transformation gets used a lot.
Mm-hmm.
What does
Mm-hmm.
transformation mean? Like, what is the outcome of a change, like, really transforming your business? And it can't just be an implementation of SAP or Oracle. It's like front to back. What do you do for training? And I think that's going to be extraordinarily strong and will continue to be, especially as you look at industries that have not had significant opportunities to upscale their technology because they've done so many acquisitions, and sort of certain industries are definitely really focused on changing, but they also have the old and the new. So I think there's huge opportunities in all those spaces.
So we talk about AI, cybersecurity, as just a couple to pull out of that. What kind of skills are crucial for success in those areas?
So I think, for, like, I'd break the two out. I think, cyber, there is a massive technology, like, expertise you need for cyber. But at the same time, there's controls, like, there's the technology aspect of building technology, being able to sort of, what does that look like? But there's also sort of some controls based stuff, like, how do you think about end to end processes? What's your controls framework? And then, honestly, I say there's a whole crisis management part of cyber, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
how do you think about, if there's an issue, how do you manage that, end to end in a new technology world, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's no longer just doing a tabletop and getting ready for the, like, what does that mean with social media? How do you do it? So I think there's so
Mm-hmm.
much there. And then there's also the ability to talk up and down through the institution. You're not only talking to a CIO anymore about cyber. It's like, how do you have that conversation with the board? So I think there's a lot of different tentacles you can take with cyber. I think AI is similar in a way. It's the actual technology aspect of AI. Can machine learning, what are you going to do? Do you understand it?
Mm-hmm.
But then there's the data linkage to it, and what do you need to do? How do you do it? And I do think there's a whole teaching aspect to it. I think there's
Mm-hmm.
a whole new way of thinking, right? So I think there's many different things you can be, not just a technologist.
So what is the likelihood, and not to hold you to it, but
Yeah.
like, because things are happening so quickly, and if you've been out of school for a little while, you may not have that AI technology skill training. So companies are going to start having to train on site, and they actually probably
Yes.
prefer it because they train them on the way you interpret it and the way you want to do it. Is there any type of training program within your
Yeah,
tracks?
we have a great program. We call it My AI. It's linked to, we redid our whole people strategy, which was My Plus. And in My AI, it goes to like, we can't use in many different areas just chat GBT. We use too much client information. So we have PwC chat. You get trained on that. We have use cases that you get enabled to. We're about to launch something that goes through how do you get paid for innovation, right? Because I think there's like three different layers to our organization. We have a lot of, people who just come out of school and have thought differently, think differently. We want them to feel enabled to use that, to give us those ideas. And then we also have to retrain people and make them feel comfortable learning it. So for someone like me, I actually have a My AI concierge, because I guess they were so that, and the concierge, to be fair to them, is a manager, right? And I'm a partner, but they know it better. So to help us on our journey. And then we do have to think about, are the programs working? Like, are people using the stuff we have? Because you can't keep putting out stuff. You actually have to track to make sure there's usage of it. So we're very proud of a lot of the things that we're doing around fundamentally across every single person at the firm to retrain them to be able to use those, but also putting the tools in the hands of the people that really need it.
So what do you tell people who are hesitant who have been employees and, there's a resistant to learning? It's almost like you got to get on board or you're going to miss out.
One of our partners just did a session on, you can be a realist, a zealot, or a what's his third category, as like a non-believer, right? And there's the only harm for being a zealot, right, is people, like, it won't work, but you get people on board, you get it. But if you're a someone who's like pushes back, think about how many people work with us. You don't want them not to do it.
Yeah.
And we are the best place for it. I say this, like, I started at the firm, I didn't even have a computer. And then we got computers and everyone said, the world is going to change. And, then we got spreadsheets and people were the world. So like, we know how to do this. And so buy into it because we'll help you get to the next place.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk about advice to your younger self. If you could go back and give yourself some advice, any words of wisdom?
Yeah, I think I would say breathe. Breathe a little. I hate it when people said this to me, so I don't love this advice, but actually I think it's pretty good advice. It's not a marathon. It's just not a sprint. It's a marathon, not a sprint. You have to be balanced with that, right? Because it has to be a merit-based marathon, not. And then I think have a little more. I think I'm quite authentic now. I think in different parts I tried to fit myself in the box that I thought people wanted me to fit in. And I think now, I would say to everyone, like, we want you to be you. Our, workplaces are hard. To then try to do it being someone else, I can't imagine how hard it would be.
Yeah, I totally agree. What challenges have you faced as a leader in a male-dominated industry? And what strategies or advice do you offer women trying to navigate similar spaces?
Yeah, I think I say humor works for me. I think, so like sometimes the mansplaining and I'll say, oh, that someone will say that's a good idea. I was like, yeah, I said it 5 minutes ago, right? And we all kind of laugh. Or I think it's an education, like I think it's never done completely on purpose. So I think when you talk about it and explain it, I think that's been a challenge. I'd also say, and I think this is assumptions. People assume, like, think about it. I have a working spouse and I have 3 kids. People make assumptions around like what I can and can't do. And I always try to say it very nicely and say, as I talk to you about advice, can we focus on my work side? I have a father, I have a husband. I don't actually need someone to help me with my life side. I can balance that. And I think that's one that's quite important, right? To make sure, like, if you hear someone's not looking at you because they're worried about your home life, like, you need to speak up. So those are the things. And then I think every now and again, I will say to people, and I did throughout my career, is like, please give me I won't break. Please give me the same advice you would give to the man, my male peer, like I'm okay. I want development points. I don't need like, don't be a jerk, but like balance it out. Like don't worry, I'm not going to break.
Yeah, don't put the kid gloves on for
Yeah. Because that's how you learn the most, right? And if no one's telling you, you can't learn.
Well, and I think the other important thing to call out there is you're asking for advice or insights or saying, I consider me. I think a lot of people don't say, consider me for this opportunity.
I agree. It's hard. Like I always say, like, be brave and be bold. Like all they can do is say no, right? Like there is like, and it hurts. Like I've had a few career defeats and I think like you got to let the defeat go and decide like either you're going to keep going or you're going to let it overrule you. If it overrules you, you have to make different decisions. But like you got to ask to be told no.
And we kind of touched on
this.
Or
to be told yes, by the way, right? If you don't ask, they can't tell you no or yes.
Oh, absolutely. I think that's something my dad always told me. It's a no until you ask. So why not ask? The worst they can do. Yeah. So, I mean, we're kind of talking about this right now, and I think it's come a long way. I think to your point of bringing your authentic self to work, but the balance of work-life balance. I think a lot of people in the tech kind of like say, oh, I don't want to work in tech because they work, 24/7, whatever. There's no balance, work-life balance. Would you say there's work-life balance or tips or advice on trying to stand up for yourself?
I call it work-life choices because I think balance is a hard one. Like I do. I think there are going to be times, and there have been times in my career that I'm working on something at work that is just extraordinarily busy. And it's like, I need to put in the hours, I need to get done. There's an issue, and that is my choice to be focused there. And there are times in my life where there are family things or kid things that actually need more of my time. And that's the rebalancing that has to happen. And I think that the advice I have is don't assume one is more important than the other. Like you are a full self, right? But you need to understand there are going to be times that work is going to come first, and there's, and so you have to balance your life to make it work with that. But I have found that has helped me. And guilt is a really hard thing. Like I have, you can be at work and feeling pretty guilty. That's pretty hard. And the only one who's doing it to yourself is you.
Yeah.
Right. And so
I discovered that along the way.
yeah. It's hard, but it's true. No one else is doing it in your head other than you. But you know where you need to be, and you need to make those choices.
I'm sure you get, asked career advice often. Is there something that bubbles up to the top a lot?
Yeah. And I think the question always, and you asked it, funny enough, was how do I get to the next step, right? That one, and how do I get a mentor? And they're both actually, the answer is quite similar, right? Do the hard work, you usually get found, and that's how you sort of get there. But that tends to be one. And then I do get, the question a lot about the balance. How did you balance it? And look, there's times I did it well, and there's times I did not do it well. You know what I mean? It's not a perfect balance. But those are the main ones that do it. And I'll say on the balance question, it's not only women. The world has changed a lot, right? That a lot of the guys ask, they have working spouses, and I want their working spouses to be successful also. So how do you help out, and how do you think about that?
That's wonderful. What does to be bolder mean to you?
It's when you, some people don't like this, so I'll say it still though. When you have that, when someone asks you to do something and you have that, throw up a bit in your mouth, you think oh boy, that's the job you should take. Do you know what I mean? That you're just not, it's that's being bold, because the easy answer, if you think it's too hard, is to say no. But those are the opportunities that mean a lot, that will mean a lot throughout your career.
Absolutely. Networking is another hot topic that we cover on this show. So it can be so intimidating for many women, especially in a male-dominated industry.
Yes.
How have you approached networking? What has helped you over the years? Any advice?
It's really hard. I mean, I sound very outgoing, but like when I get into that room, even like you turn in like, it's hard. And I don't even I don't drink, so I don't even get a glass of wine. So I would say like find like I do, it's really hard. Like find that other person in the room who you can also see is as uncomfortable as you, because they'll be so happy to talk to you. Try to get the list before. A lot of times the groups do that, like to see, like, I am a big researcher, like some people might say stalker, but like I like to know about the person. It makes it so much easier, especially if you can find something you have in common, right? Like I always look for Canadians because I'm Canadian and or find that they go to the same school as you. Like there's ways to do it. But I think it is a moment of just being brave. Like no one ever leaves the room and says, "Can you believe that person came up and talked to me?"
Yeah.
Right?
No, but I think the do your homework advice is such a good idea, and so few people do it. I love that.
Yes.
Well, this conversation has gone by so quick. We are, close to the end. Any final piece of advice you'd like to leave the listeners for aiming on success or leadership like you've taken?
Yeah, I would say that one question that I get that I didn't mention that I would say to everyone is don't let your life stop for your job or your career. Like people make career, like you shouldn't make life decisions around your job. Like it'll always be there. Like if you meet that person at not the right time, go for it. If you want to have kids, go for it. You know what I mean? Like don't worry about job planning and life planning. They all come together and just I had 3 kids under 2. It was not my plan. I had twins, shockingly, right after, and I survived. Do you know what I mean? Like things happen and it's fine. Let your life go and your work will follow.
Oh, that is such a beautiful way to end this. But I'm going to give some quick get to know you fun things. All right. Favorite subject in school?
History.
Okay. I kind of answered my own question in my head there. Favorite season?
Oh, winter.
Oh, okay. Favorite flavor of ice cream?
Mint chocolate chip. The green one, like the really not great one, but the green mint chocolate chip.
Favorite place you enjoy when you're not at work?
Oh, I have these 3 boys that are extraordinarily adventurous. And like, I'm at this cusp now, like they're getting better at me than snowboarding. I had a little accident when I was canyoning with them. So doing anything to prove to them that I can keep up with them is like my favorite thing.
I love it. It has been so fun getting to know you and hearing your story. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for doing what you do. It matters.
Oh, appreciate it. Thanks for listening to the episode today. It was really fun chatting with my guest. If you liked our show, please like it and share it with your friends. If you want to learn what we're up to, please go check out our website at 2bboulder.com. That's the number 2, little b, boulder.com.